So I find myself on Twitter today, and I'm scrolling through tweets, and I see these tweets over and over again from this one woman. She's saying the typical racist nonsense about white people, the typical narrative you hear all the time. I said to myself, I'm not really going to pay attention to this woman because she's just some stupid ass on Twitter. Why should I pay attention to her? So instead of retweeting her and calling her a racist twat or something like that, I don't bother. I just decide to not pay attention. Throughout the day, I keep seeing it, I keep ignoring it, doing my own thing, looking at other stuff, listening to YouTube videos, whatever. Eventually, I come back and I see another tweet with her involved again, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. This woman is running for Congress. Oh boy, maybe I should pay attention to it. Her name is Saira Rao? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. In fact, you know what? Let me become more woke before I talk about this woman because she does hate white people. So anything I say is going to be perceived as racist. So let me go ahead and do something to myself that will make it not racist. Ah, that's better. Now I'm woke. Now this woman can feel comfortable without having to worry about the attacks from a terrible white supremacist like me. Okay, slight correction before I start. This woman is not running for Congress. She already ran for Congress in 2018 and lost. But she does not plan on stopping or backing down, and she probably will run again until she gets a seat. Or until she's sick of losing, I guess. But either way, she's going to be involved in politics one way or another. And this is her message from that. We didn't win the race, but we created an epic movement. I want to thank each and every one of you. You did this. We did this together, brick by brick. Person by person, we showed up, we marched, we fought, we voted, and we've only just begun. We have a lot of work to do. I, for one, don't plan on taking a seat, waiting my turn, returning to the status quo. Please, stay with me, stay with us, stay woke, join our movement. So nowadays, it's not just voting for the right candidate, it's joining movements. They want to make it seem like you're involved in something bigger and more important than anybody else has ever been. But let's get back to her racism. So when I got home today, I decided to go back on Twitter and do a screen capture of me scrolling through her tweets because it was literally 9 out of 10 tweets were about how terrible white people are or something malicious against white people. And it was shocking. And I'm like, it's so fucking amazing how someone like this can run for Congress. Just even run saying things like that. If you had plugged any other race besides white into the statements she made, there's no way the person would even sniff an inkling of winning any congressional race. They wouldn't even be in it at all. There would be no shot of it. But this person can spout her shit all day, and yeah, she gets clapped back, but does it really matter? No, she was still running and had a chance to win, and people like her have won. So unfortunately, she locked her Twitter account. I guess she got enough hate today from white people that it bothered her enough to lock her account. So I couldn't do that for you. So I selected a quick handful that I found on the internet. I took some screenshots and I'll show them to you now. Until every white person sees themselves as complicit in white supremacy, nothing changes. Othering toxic whiteness is what keeps whiteness in place. Maybe we should otherize blackness, especially toxic blackness. There is nothing brave about white liberals tweeting their disdain for Trump. Start tweeting about your own white supremacy. Can you imagine someone winning any political race and getting the votes of the people who says something like this? Just imagine that. Every white person is responsible for white supremacy. Amazing. Here's one that got a lot of attention. The American flag makes me sick. Oh, really? And this is someone who ran for Congress and is going to try to in the future and can possibly get elected. Does she have a strong chance? I honestly don't know. I don't know that much about her yet. But we'll see in the future, I guess. And here's like the top 4 tweets that were on her Twitter last it was available. This is the pinned tweet. If you are not actively anti-racist, you are actively racist. And what does that make you? White terrorists. someone talking about Islamophobia and how it's a ridiculous word because fear of Islam, true Islam, by the book, isn't unreasonable. White people always pick whiteness. What? So when do black people or brown people pick whiteness? Do they pick it once in a while when they don't have to, or do they always pick black or brownness? And this is the other one that got a lot of attention recently. White people have done everything to make my life miserable, yet I'm supposed to not hate white people? Imagine some white kid that lived in a black neighborhood that got beat up every day and all that, robbed, ass kicked, all this shit, made fun of. You know, black people have made my life miserable my whole life. And I'm not supposed to hate them? Imagine the reaction. And remember, this is someone running for government. People bitch about what Donald Trump says and calls him a racist. Like, look at what this woman is saying. Now, I know she's not running for president, but still, just the fact that someone is saying these things and can get away with running for Congress is absolutely insane. Whoever voted for her should be ashamed. You're a sad sack. But it's not like we haven't seen people win who say things like this. Think about the big three, the women I call the big three. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar. All say things about white supremacy, but they don't make it so blatant. They have not made it so blatant yet where they're like, all white people, every white person. That's how stupid this woman is. And here's one more from her. Many of the same folks who were devastated over the Notre Dame fire dug through photos to find that one with them in front of Notre Dame have been utterly silent about the Sri Lanka massacre. It's almost as if the building matters more than hundreds of brown humans. Oh, isn't that rich? You know what's funny about this tweet? If you were to criticize those people who did the bombings in Sri Lanka, you'd be criticizing Muslims. And guess what? She'd call you a racist and an Islamophobe for doing so, and a white supremacist. So isn't that just a nice little predicament she's gotten you into? Now, I'm going to make some predictions in a second, but before I do, I want to talk about one of the tweets I read on her page, or a couple actually, that I didn't get to get screen captures of. Since she's Indian, she made a couple of tweets about how Indians have no right to talk trash until they start looking at themselves because Indians are extremely racist to black people. So what does that tell me? That tells me that this woman is projecting. She's noticed her race in her eyes have been racist towards blacks. So she's calling out other people for being racist against blacks. And who easier to call out than white people, of course. So I'm gonna say half of this stuff is projection. And her dealing with the fact that she thinks her people are racist and she has to fucking get this out somehow. Because honestly, if you were able to look at her Twitter, she seems completely unhinged and deranged. She seems like a mental case. Now, on to the predictions. Nostrabongus here, once again. The prediction is, if she does become a congresswoman at some point, if she wins an election, she will be included in the big three, and she'll now be part of the big four. And if you don't get the reference, the big four are the four groups in heavy metal that made heavy metal mainstream and popular. Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax. They brought thrash metal into the heavy metal mainstream. So she will instantly become part of that trio, and they will become the big four of brown women in Congress, or WOC with two C's, women of color in Congress, and they will jump to bat to defend her any chance they get. Anytime someone criticizes her, they will be there to tell you you're a racist for doing so. Mark my fucking words. Nostrabongus says. Remember that shit. So anyway, guys, I'm done here. I've had enough of this woman, and I'm glad I won't be able to see her tweets anymore, but God forbid she does get elected in the future. Good luck, Denver. Have fun with that. Have a good night.